Welcome to another edition of the Sam Walker OBXnews.com podcast. Joining me today is Aaron Beresin. He's from Corolla Beach Services, and we're going to talk about that, but we're also going to talk about a really cool charity, really cool community project that he has created over the last couple of years with his family that has really benefited a lot of people on the Outer Banks. Aaron, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Sam. Really appreciate your time.
Well, give us a little bit of backstory on yourself.
Yeah, so I actually first came down to the Outer Banks in 2008, and I worked for a couple summers down here and connected with a lot of people that I stayed in touch with through my 20s and came back to visit when I was 30 and saw, a lot of the people that I had met when I first came down, um, had kind of found a way to run summer businesses and then find ways to work for 4 or 5 months, 6 months out of the year and take off the rest of the time. And they had become pretty successful, the ones that had stayed down here and worked hard. And so I came down from New Jersey in 2019, and I worked for a beach setup company for about 2 summers. And then was fortunate enough to have a boss that kind of allowed me to branch off from that and do my own thing. So I established Corolla Beach Services in 2020, and I started serving the public beach accesses in Corolla. And now in 2024, this is the first year that we are going to be down in Nags Head and Kill Devil Hills and Kitty Hawk.
Okay, nice.
So really, really excited about that. Yeah.
So what's some of the stuff that you guys offer?
Yeah, so the past, from our inception, we offered beach chairs, tents, coolers with ice, and beach games. And this year, we've kind of shortened it down to just the beach tents, the wooden high back beach chairs, and the coolers with ice. Found over the span of a couple years that although people, some people got the beach games, they weren't like this huge thing. So we cut down on that, and those are the three main things we offer. We also do an arrival luggage service. So when people get to their rental property, they can give us a call, and we can come out and we can unload their cars, SUVs. And a lot of times, we'll have a son or daughter buy it for their parents who are coming down and getting there before them or after them. And then sometimes we'll pack up their cars for them as well, so they don't have to carry all their luggage several flights of steps.
You want to come over to Currituck next week and do that for me when I head to Disney? I'd appreciate
Anytime,
it.
Sam. Yeah, anytime, man. You just let me know.
Yeah, that's a different take on the concierge services that we have here on the Outer Banks. To be able to do that, that's not something I'd heard it was being offered. That really, I expect you get a lot of demand for that, especially with these large families that are coming into these large homes.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. Everybody kind of arrives on Saturdays, Sundays, and we've moved to a little bit of Monday and Friday arrivals as well over the past couple of years. So we can only do so many once people get there, and then we have to break down the beach. So it is an in-demand service, but we do have like limited spots just because of time restrictions. Obviously, everybody's checking in at 4 o'clock. Some people check in at 1, but most people are checking in sometime between 4 and 5 o'clock, or maybe they're sitting in traffic till 7 o'clock if they're on their way to Corolla.
Right, right, right. Aaron Beresin from Corolla Beach Services, our guest here on the Sam Walker OBXnews.com podcast. We'll talk more about the business side in a minute. Really, the topic that we're talking about here on the podcast today is this thing that you and your family have created as you've been here on the Outer Banks and you've learned things over these last several years and seen things that have gone on with your friends, with the folks who work for you, et cetera, et cetera. Tell us more about this.
Yeah, so I guess the first thing to mention, Sam, is I am in recovery. I struggled with addiction from about the age of 19 up until really about a year and a half ago. I had made several attempts to get clean and failed, a couple times, and then something finally clicked for me about a year and a half ago. So I'm very active in the recovery community in the Outer Banks. I attend recovery meetings. I'm in touch with the treatment centers here. And so, I wanted to find a way to kind of make an impact on, the people that I meet in these meetings and try to really fill a void that, I don't see being filled. So I don't know how much anybody listening or how much the audience knows about what treatment entails, but treatment centers have really good programs, and they're usually for 30, 60, 90 days.
Mm-hmm.
And then they send people off typically with just a meeting list. So although there's great treatment provided and there's inpatient treatment being provided, nobody is looking out for anybody after they leave treatment. They're typically sent, home with a meeting list. So when I went to treatment in Baltimore, and I'm from New Jersey, I had a list of meetings to go to, and that was about it. And so the statistics on, people relapsing or, people just not quite getting this is 40 to 60% of people relapse within 30 days of leaving an inpatient facility, and 85% relapse within the first year. Now, 20 years ago, that might not have been that big of a deal, but people are dying from their first relapse now because there's a fentanyl issue. Fentanyl is being put in pills and different drugs. And so when people go back out, even just one time, a lot of people are dying. And I hear those stories all the time. One of the biggest reasons people relapse is any type of stress, and specifically sometimes financial stress. So again, I'm very involved in the recovery community. I see a lot of people coming to the treatment centers around here, and I see a lot of them back months later, or a lot of them not, unfortunately, be able to make it back. And I think we're just missing something here. We're trying to get these people into treatment centers. We're giving them 30 to 60 to 90 days worth of tools. And in those 60 to 90 days, we're trying to undo habits that they've formed over 10, 20, 30 years. It's an impossible task. And it's not the fault of the treatment centers. It's just there's nothing post-treatment that helps anybody out. So what we decided to do in researching, I was amazed that there was literally no programs that helped people post-treatment. There's a ton of nonprofit organizations and even government programs that help people get into treatment, but nobody helps people once they leave treatment. So getting sober is I don't want to say it's easy, Sam, but my experience is getting sober is 20 to 30% of the battle. Staying sober is a whole nother battle. So if you want to put this in perspective, we're almost, we're almost like, it's like treating someone for a domestic abuse issue and then sending them back to their abuser. That's what we're doing post-treatment. It just doesn't make any sense. So one of the things that, people struggle with, and I apologize if this is long-winded, is some of the financial burden that they feel, some of the wreckage that they cause when they were out using, trying to climb out of holes, going back to environments, going back to people, places, and things that really trigger these uses and relapses. So what we're attempting to do is find people in treatment with these, harder financial situations, distressed financial situations, kind of pull them aside and say, hey, when you get out of treatment, like, we know your situation, we know there's some financial struggle, maybe they're going back to family who has addiction issues, and maybe we can do something as small as help keep them active when they get home by, buying them a gym membership, or they don't have insurance. So maybe we can find a therapist in their area and we can pay for 2 months worth of therapy. So we're trying to find ways to connect with service providers. So we're never putting money in the hands of alcoholics or addicts directly, but straight to the service providers, and then also giving us an opportunity to kind of check in with those people. Hey, is this person going to the gym? And the more they're helping themselves, the more we're able to help them. So those are just some smaller examples. Some larger examples might be someone has a good job, but they just can't afford a security deposit to get out of the house that they're in. That's a very toxic environment, right? And so this is a problem on the Outer Banks, right? A lot of people come here and they want to stay post-treatment, but they have to go home because they simply can't afford to live here. Even if they've found a job that pays them well enough to live here, they may not have money saved up for a security deposit. So we might be able to meet them halfway and write a check to a property management company. So we're just trying to find different ways to, keep people spiritual, keep people accountable. And that's why we call it an empowerment program. It's the more these people are willing to help themselves in their own recovery, then we have an opportunity to see that they're doing that and help them out as well. So we're really excited to do that, because there just is nothing like that exists right now, and I think it's just a huge miscalculation.
called the Purple Recovery Empowerment Project. Aaron Beresin, our guest here from Corolla Beach Services on the Sam Walker OBXnews.com podcast. Aaron, the rural nature, we are in rural North Carolina, and of all the places in the country, rural areas are experiencing this drug epidemic like none other. And we hear about Appalachia and the problems out there, but the problem is just as severe out here. At the same time, the treatment options and the availability of care providers, and as you've talked about, this long-term recovery care providers, I know that is a big limiting factor in trying to get people help, isn't it?
Yeah, it's huge. We don't have more than a handful of halfway houses, treatment centers. The recovery community is small, and I love the recovery community here, but it is small. And obviously, with the housing issue in the Outer Banks, there's less of these types of service provider in this area than other areas. And we want to do this beyond the Outer Banks as well. We're starting here, obviously, because I live here. I'm involved in the community, but this is a rampant problem everywhere. And I'm from New Jersey. I know a lot of people have heard about the problems in Philadelphia and Kensington, and these things are just all over the country. And unfortunately, these are not the same as I hear all the time. These are not the same drugs my parents were doing, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's just it's hard to bring people back from these, and we want to find ways to be able to provide people an opportunity for long-term recovery.
And we do have some very popular, I say popular programs, some well supported programs. We've got the Dare Recovery Court, the OBX Challenge, and all these different things. I mean, Irv Bateman, Dare County Commissioner, has really been at the forefront of this. He's a recovering addict as well, and he's openly talks about that, and making sure that those in the community that need help can get help. Is that some of the things that you're working through along with your project, the Purple Recovery Empowerment Project?
Yeah, so what we're attempting to connect with service providers in the area, the treatment centers in the area. We already have meetings scheduled with those treatment centers because they're trying to find ways to do this stuff as well, and kind of check in. And we called it an empowerment program because there's empowerment and accountability. And so we want to have people kind of all over the place that are looking out for each other, and aligning ourselves with the service providers that are dedicated to this and willing to take in these types of patients to help them out. I plan on going to the gyms in the area to see what we could do as far as discounted services for people that might be in recovery. I plan on connecting with the employers around here to see who might be willing to hire people right out of recovery to give them a great opportunity. But we want to do this beyond the Outer Banks as well. So it starts here with the treatment centers, the employers, the service providers, the gyms, the therapists, the yoga studios, and even something like you mentioned. I've worked with some of the people you just mentioned, and we have men's trauma groups that we're trying to form to give people more outs to generally just stay connected with the community. And as long as they're willing to stay connected, we're going to have a much better chance of being able to help them out long term.
The joke is, and it's not a good one. Juan Cheese is a drug community with a fishing problem. And when we hear those jokes all the time about, life on the Outer Banks in the off season, that's what you do. You go work all summer, and then you blow it all on bad stuff. I mean,
Sam, I used to do it.
Yeah, I mean, trying to overcome that. Yeah, I mean, that's something that's a huge challenge, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah, how do you make X amount of dollars in a 4-month period, take off for the next 8, and then not find ways to just do really dumb things with your money. I lived in Corolla, and it's isolation for 8 months. Same in a lot of these towns around here. I moved to Kill Devil Hills recently because I didn't enjoy that isolation anymore. It's a little busier around here, but totally, man, it's I hear that stuff and all the time, and I used to be a part of it.
All right. So how can folks find out more about this program that have relatives themselves are trying to find ways? And how can folks that want to help support it, how can they be involved as well?
Yeah, Sam, it's a great question. So we just established this. So I wanted to mention that the first thing that we did, because we are a new nonprofit with no reputation, and we're also still in the process of filing our 501c3. So we're not tax exempt yet. So what we did was we established a fund with the Outer Banks Community Foundation.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
the reason we did that is, as you know, they've been around for 40 years. They have very strict guidelines with what they can do with that money, and they're only able to actually provide it to nonprofits. They can't provide it to individuals. So although we can take checks directly, we would have to be holding those checks up until the point that we were tax exempt. So the best thing you could do is go onto the Purple Recovery Empowerment Project page. There's a donation link, and that goes directly to the Outer Banks Community Foundation. And you can set up recurring donations, one-time donations, etc., and be confident that it's going to a trusted source until we establish the reputation that we're planning on establishing. Outside of that, if you wanted to get involved, you can just message that page, contact me. I'm hoping to hear from a lot of service providers and a lot of people that just want to reach out, but we have application processes that we're putting in place. So it is still very new. So we might not have, this work right off the bat, but we will make a list of people that are willing to help. And we do have some people on board already. So definitely contact us, and we'd love to have all hands on deck.
All right. So you search that on Facebook, right? Is that what you're saying? You've got a Facebook page
Purple
established?
Recovery Empowerment Project. Yep.
Okay. All right. And the Outer Banks Community Foundation, if you want to go to them, contact Chris Sowen over there at the Outer Banks Center for Nonprofits. He can get you in touch. That's great that you guys have teamed with them. And that's one of the great things about the Community Foundation is there's so many nonprofits. It's amazing how many nonprofits we have here on the Outer Banks that have affiliated with them, and they've been able to support them and vice versa. With the resources they have. And it's great that you've teamed up with them, because I know that really does bring a legitimacy to a group like yourself when it comes to things like this.
Yeah, they're phenomenal. I spoke with Chris a couple times and Scout over there, and it was a no-brainer for me. And they do a lot of great work in the community.
All right, so you guys getting established now. You've got people that you've already talked to, and you yourself, you're in this road of recovery. It's a never-ending road. We talk about on on my podcast, my wife Emily, the Sam and M podcast, about grief and the road recovery for there. It's never ending. How can folks? What are some of those resources right now that someone who's either going through it right now and going to be coming out soon out of a treatment program and just doesn't know where to go next? What do you guys have for them right now that they can get help with?
Yeah, really the best thing, and I always recommend this because it saved my life, is just any form of recovery meeting, because the worst thing that we can do getting out of recovery is putting ourselves back in the same situation and then going into isolation and going about our lives like nothing happened. There's work that has to be dug into, and they're also, you have to become part of a community. As uncomfortable as it is to walk into any type of recovery group, recovery in the Outer Banks is great, and usually recovery that I've been to anywhere I've traveled has been phenomenal and welcoming. So, getting uncomfortable, making sure you're around community, and just staying in touch with people in that community is the best recommendation I can make off the bat, because what comes out of going into those recovery meetings, it just opens all the doors for you to stay sober or clean long term, whatever your preference is. So I would always recommend that would be the first step for anybody, and then trying to stay active as much as possible. My first year of recovery, this is just my experience. I tried to go for a walk almost every single day. I have a friend that I met in recovery, and she used to have someone tell her when someone would call, they were in the house, and we start going crazy in our heads when we're sitting in the house. She goes, "Get outside! You're in there with the killer." And it's just one of those things, is not being alone with my own mind, right? So calling people, getting into those meetings, getting active in the community, and moving your body are really the biggest helps that helped me at the beginning.
All right, remind us again remind us everything about it, the program name and where folks can get all the info.
Yeah, so it's Purple Recovery Empowerment Project. We are still establishing a website page, but you can find us on Facebook, and our fund is set up with the Outer Banks Community Foundation. So that fund link is on our Facebook page. Also, for those who want to follow my business page, Corolla Beach Services, we are posting info on there, because I am going to be dedicating a portion of the revenue that we make at the end of the year to my own fund. Obviously, if I don't contribute to it, I don't expect anybody else to. So you can find some information on there and reach out to me directly as well.
And you'll find the links down below in the description here at samwalkerobxnews.com, in our YouTube channel, and on Facebook. All right, I'm going to give you a chance to free plug now for Corolla Beach Services, because
Yeah.
I know it's that time of year. I work for Caribbean Pools and Spas, so we're out trying to find people to come clean pools. I know you're looking for guys to and gals as well to go out, no matter what age, to go out there and set things up and haul luggage and all that. So here's your chance for the free plug.
Yeah, so I actually made a post earlier. We do have a couple spots left for employees. Comes with a company truck. It's a really good paying job for the summer, and you get most of the middle of the day off if you want to enjoy the beach. And for anybody else listening that's considering using a business like ours, I will just say, I've been very blessed over the past 4 years establishing this, that we've never gotten a negative review from anybody in that time frame. So if you do go on Google, all I can really say is I don't believe there is another company that can guarantee that you have a great beach week the way that we can. So I hope you take a look at the reviews and reach out to us if you have any questions, because we'd love to make your beach week special.
And how can they book with you, and how can they get in touch with you?
Yep, CorollaBeachServices.com, and all of our Instagram and social media Facebook pages are at Corolla Beach Services. So it's Corolla, Corolla, kind of like the Toyota, but pronounced differently.
Right.
Beachservices.com.
Aaron, thanks so much. Keep in touch with us. We want to keep up with it. We want to help you out as far as promoting the project and everything else going on with it. So please keep in touch with us, and let us get the word out there for folks.
Yeah, absolutely, Sam. Thanks so much for having me.